politician. It's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Unity Trend on Unity 93.3 FM and TV. Petrus Adamu Eji is my name. But if you like, of course, you could just call me Kubi and I'll be just fine. We are reaching you live from the city of Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria. Don't forget, Plateau State is your home of peace and tourism. In the studio this morning, I have Mr. Shuaibu Doro, an in-house analyst and, of course, a political scientist. He is seated and he will say a very big good morning to you, our listener and our viewer.
Thank you, Kobe. Good morning, viewer and listener. Thank you for joining us.
In the studio, again, even from this very segment, I have an in-house, so to say, a family friend. He's not... I beg to say he's not a first-timer, and he's not just a person, he's not just a guest, but he is an in-house, a regular friend of Unity 93.3 FM and, of course, TV. He is Barrister Sam Talks. Later on, I'll get to introduce him more and more, but for now, let's just have his name coming your way. Barrister Sam Talks is in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kobe. Good morning, Shaibu. Good morning, viewers and listeners.
Oh, thank you very much. And so at this point, just as we do it, the first segment of Unity Trend, once it is 8 o'clock, what we do is that we look at issues trending on our national dailies, and so one or two or even more, and we see what we talk around such headlines. And so this morning, we begin with what is happening. It has to do with EFCC, and so we have this one that says former government ex-ministers, others under investigation. This one is credited to EFCC, and so issue of many stolen and issues of allegations, so to say, because it hasn't been proven yet, and so we wouldn't say it is until proven otherwise.
Yeah, well, like Barrister Sam Talks and his lawyer colleagues would always say, innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
You know, that is it. But of course, we await to see what the EFCC eventually does as far as this, story is concerned. And I think it's not uhuri yet for us, for those of us who are interested in actually seeing that the country is rid of this menace of corruption, which has actually held back the country's economic, political, social development, and all of that. We will not actually be licking our fingers just because of the story and things, because it hasn't actually. Nothing has actually been done yet. The EFCC is simply saying there are ex-governors, ex-ministers, and other, hotshot who are under investigation by the EFCC, and that in due course their names and the nature of their involvement in certain corrupt practices will actually be made known to members of the public. So we actually wait to see what happens. But I do understand, I do understand from the report by the EFCC, or the announcement by the EFCC, that they have actually been able to recover about 27 billion from 3 different cases involving, some hot shots in the country. And they have also been able to recover $19 million. $19 million are also being recovered, from some hot shot in the country, and all of that. And so the figures will actually rise to, a much higher one when eventually some of these ex-governors and ex-ministers are eventually, investigated and probably found guilty and things like that. We don't know. It remains to be seen what actually comes out of that. But you see, here could be, the issue here is that of, I think, the systemic corruption that has actually made it impossible for Nigeria to be able to take her rightful place in the scheme of things and be able to compete favorably with other nations, which have been able to make a reasonable pathway development-wise and things like that. This is the issue. And I think that when you are talking about fighting corruption, I think there should be some level of sincerity, some level of genuine commitment to the whole issue. This is the issue. We have always said here and elsewhere that you can't be talking about corruption or fighting corruption when, at the end of the day, the people you brought on board, the people you bring on board, to pull the strings, in various departments of government, actually have, pending corruption allegations against them. This is the issue. Like lawyers will always say, and thank God Barrister Sam Talks is here, he who comes to justice must actually come with clean hands. I think I would like to paraphrase that to say that he who comes to government must also come with clean hands. We've always said that what is morally wrong cannot be politically right, and what is politically right ordinarily should not be morally wrong, because at the end of the day, I think politicians are drivers of society and should be people with impeccable moral aptitude. But even as we speak, there are people in this particular government who actually have questionable antecedents, and Nigerians have raised eyebrows against the appointment of such people. But eventually they had their way, and this is what we actually have. I will give you an example. Even the current Senate president is somebody whom Nigerians don't necessarily see as possessing the requisite moral requirement to be able to occupy that particular position. But here we are. This is the issue. I do also recall that at some point in time, former governor of Kano State, immediate past governor of Kano State, current APC chairman, also was seen in a viral video by Nigerians stashing dollars into his flowing gown and things like that. And Nigerians had thought that after serving as governor, of course, the immunity he was enjoying will actually no longer be there, and then he probably will be subjected to proper investigations and things like that. But we didn't. In fact, what we saw rather was what we could actually call a compensation or a reward for Umar Ganduje in the form of a chairmanship of the APC and things. These are some of the issues. I do also recall that at some point, Danjuma Goje, former governor of Gombe State, was also under investigation by the EFCC and things like that. But at some point in time, one thing led to another, and then, he was let off the hook. According to certain analyses and observations, by at that time, of course, the fact that Umar Danjuma Goje was not actually subjected to appropriate disciplinary measures and things like that actually had to do with certain political factors that played out at that time. Coincidentally, of course, the APC then actually preferred Ahmed Lawal as Senate president. And of course, Danjuma Goje was also in the Senate presidential race and things like that. And so there was suspicion among Nigerians that when the fact that because at some point I do recall that the Ministry of Justice under then Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami actually took over Danjuma Goje's case and actually said that the government actually had the jurisdiction to take over the case and things like that. But ever since the case was taken over by the Ministry of Justice, nothing was actually heard about it until date. This is the issue. And so some people feel that probably, Danjuma Goje was forgiven for actually stepping down, for Ahmed Lawal, who was the APC's preferred candidate for the Senate presidency race and things like that. These are some of the issues. And so I feel that if you want to fight corruption, you actually have to, begin to set some sort of examples. You have to actually, be able to create, and sustain confidence, in the process. But a situation where, the fight against corruption becomes selective, I think at the end of the day, the impression you are giving to citizens is that there are actually sacred cows as far as the anti-corruption war is concerned. Nigerians feel that the most corrupt government we have had, in Nigeria's history was the immediate past government of President Muhammadu Buhari. But this was also somebody who actually came to government on the mantra of actually, you know, and anti-corruption war and things like that. You know, this is the issue. And so I feel that, and of course, you and I know, and Nigerians also do know that the immediate past, you know, a chairman of the EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa himself, is also in police custody on account of, you know, alleged involvement in corrupt practices and things like that. You know, this is the issue. And so when you put people in place who, you know, wine and dine with politicians, who attend, you know, the traditional investitures of, you know, politicians and things like that, I don't think it's actually possible to sustain public confidence in the process.
Mr. Doro, what do you have to say? Because lots of people feel that EFCC has been weaponized. It's like is used as a machine to deal with perceived political adversaries. And so what's your take here? Do you also share the same thoughts here?
Well, I do, partially or fairly, because I do recall, of course, the EFCC and the ICPC are, you know, are both brain, you know, children of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Obasanjo actually created the EFCC, right? You know, as an institution that was meant to actually, you know, oversee or spearhead the country's anti-corruption drive, you know, and all of that. But we do also recall that, you know, when Obasanjo held sway, there were instances where he actually used the EFCC as an attack dog, you know, against, you know, perceived and, of course, real political foes and things like that. I can't give you, you know, instances, but I do recall that there was such a situation when Obasanjo held sway, you know, and things like that. This is the issue. And I think that it's true that at some point in time, of course, the EFCC has been used. I mean, like I did say, why would you actually, you know, beam the searchlight on certain people on allegation of corruption, and then, you know, actually turn a blind eye, you know, on other people whose cases have actually been proven and things like that. I just gave an example, you know, Umar Ganduje, immediate past governor of Kano State. I mean, if there was any sincerity
probably
in the anti-corruption war,
he's still enjoying immunity.
What immunity can he be? He is no longer governor of Kano State.
But of course, he is leading a whole, you know, ruling party.
Yeah, he's well, in what capacity? As chairman of a ruling party, but not as governor of a state. And I think that, well, I might not be a lawyer.
Probably there should be some immunity.
I don't know, but maybe Barrister Sam Talks should come in at this point. Maybe you ask him if the law actually permits, you know, and I mean the chairman of a ruling party to actually enjoy any immunity and things like that.
Yes, Barrister.
Yes, I think it's section 308 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very explicitly clear on the categories of people who are immune. They call it restriction on legal proceedings against these categories of people, and it's clear: the president, the vice president, the governor, and the deputy governor. Any other person, it's not restricted.
You see, and so he's not enjoying any immunity.
But he is the chairman of the party in which Mr. President is Mr. President.
In that case, we could say that he's probably enjoying some privilege, right? By virtue of being, you know, chairman of the EFCC, which is not legally sanctioned. This is the issue.
It's all right.
And then again, could be. I mean, come to think of it. I mean, when did he become chairman of the of the APC? It was just a few months ago.
Just when
after he had quit office as governor. After he had quit office as governor, if there was any sincerity in the anti-corruption war, he should have been picked up or subjected to investigation after quitting office. But that has not been done. This is the issue, and that is also why you see sometimes when the EFCC says, "Well, we're fighting corruption. We've got, you know, ex-governors and ex-ministers in our net and things like that." Sometimes citizens feel it's just a talk show. Because we've seen, I mean, some former governors who were already convicted, right, eventually ended up being pardoned. You know, we've got Joshua Dari of Plateau State, we've got, you know, Jolly Nyami of Taraba State and things like that. You know, so it will appear that, you know, there doesn't seem to be a clearly defined, you know, modus operandi. I mean, there doesn't appear to be a clearly defined strategy for actually fighting corruption in the country. And I think that if we continue on this trajectory, right, of course, I think that it might just be an incentive, you know, for other people to continue to engage in some of these, you know, unwholesome acts.
Okay, Mr. Doro, let's see what we have to say around this one. It has to do with, it says, the nation BBC no evidence of certificate forgery by presidents. This certificate saga issue has continued on and on. So what have you to say around this issue?
Well, I had thought that the issue, was dead and buried, but apparently it's continued to, research, and probably we will have to say a thing or two about it. Of course, Atiku Abubakar did, a world press conference where he tried to draw attention to, certain evidences that he claimed to actually have in his position that he feel, are actually incontrovertible or strong enough to actually, give him an edge over Tinubu at the Supreme Court and things like that. And I did say something here which I think is a legal concern. I do understand that it may not be quite easy for Atiku Abubakar to introduce, new materials which were not, did not constitute part of the ground on which he had challenged, the same Tinubu in the court of first instance and things like that. I don't know if the law will give him any leave to be able to do that. Barrister Sam Talks again might have a thing or two to say when it comes to, probably later and things like that. But I think that that's the legal hurdle that Atiku will have to cross. But beyond that could be, I think it might just be time for Atiku to just, probably just let it go, because I feel it's creating unnecessary distractions here and there. And apparently from what we have seen and heard and all of that, it doesn't look like Atiku actually has a good case. I don't know. It remains to be seen. And lawyers will normally not tell you that you don't have a good case. No matter how bad it is, they will tell you, well, it's winnable and things like that.
Well, Barrister Sam is already smiling.
Yeah, I'm talking, I don't know, but he knows that what I'm saying is true.
He may have one or two things to say.
Yes, just like Doro has said, you cannot introduce new facts when it comes to appeal. What you did not plead at the beginning of the trial, at the trial tribunal, you cannot come and spring up. The law is against springing up surprises in court. So, like you rightly observed, you cannot come and say you want to bring a new fact during appeal, and the court relies on that.
Which was not there in the first place.
So I think legally it is out of place. Some of us have held the opinion, and are still holding to the opinion that certificate issue will not see the light of day, because it is something that should have been tendered during trial at the trial tribunal. But now you want to bring it up at I don't know how they will do that. Probably definitely. They need to seek leave, and if the court grants that, of course the other respondents will challenge that, and at the challenge the court will rule on that. So if they seek leave to bring it in, it's to me personally you're springing up a surprise on the respondents, and the respondents would definitely opposed to that environment. That's the position of the law.
But this whole thing too, this whole certificate issue, it's been thrown back to Atiku himself, because there's this also that was brought up about the discrepancies concerning his names.
Yes.
Having one name at some level of his academic pursuit, and then other names brought in also, but that he defended anyway.
Well, he did say that he actually had to swear an affidavit at some point to correct that and things like that. So legally, he shouldn't be guilty, and but could be. I think that's a good intervention on your part. They say that me do kambachi kar aganshi ya bige da gengedi. That those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. And I think could be, if we were to talk about issues of certificate authenticity in this country, many people will not pass the integrity test. This is the issue. Now coming back to the at some point Atiku's nationality was even being challenged. At some point there were citizens who were even saying that Atiku was not even a Nigerian, he was a Cameroonian and things like that. That came and went and things like that. This is the issue, but I feel that Atiku is taking it too far, isn't he? I feel he's taking too far. And then again, according to even legal opinions, already the Chicago State University, through its current registrar, Caleb Westberg, actually has said already that the certificate released to Atiku Abubakar is the same certificate that actually was tendered by Tinubu to INEC. There are no discrepancies or any such things and things like that. And so I feel that if the issuing authority, right, actually confess that what we have given is authentic, I don't know what local standing, as lawyers will say, I don't know what right you actually have to say that it is fake. Now these are the issues Atiku is challenging. Number one, he claims that there are discrepancies, on the gender, that the certificate that was issued to Tinubu, when he attended the Southwest College, actually had F, that means representing female, on the column, provided for gender and things like that. But the one released recently actually has female, and so there are discrepancies in that regard. And then again, he's claiming that even in the dates of birth, there are also discrepancies. The first one, the certificate released by the CSU seems to suggest that Atiku was born on, President Tinubu was born on the 29th of March 1954, right? 1954, but in the one he presented to INEC, he was actually supposed to have been born, on March 29, 1955, and things like that. There are a whole lot of stories here and there. This is the issue. But of course, Caleb Westbach did say that those discrepancies are things that are normal as far as university, as far as academic records are concerned. Sometimes it's a human process, right? And so, such processes could be susceptible to human errors and things like that. Right. This is the issue. And so I think, and the BBC has said that as far as its recent investigations are concerned, there is nothing to actually worry about as far as Tinubu's certificate is concerned. This is the issue. So I feel that it might just be time to let sleeping dogs lie, so that we don't create unnecessary distractions and things like that.
Okay.
But if he feels that he has a case that is winnable in court, well, Gapili Gamedoki.
All right, Gapili Gamedoki. Now let's see what we have on Daily Trust. It says, say Tinubu's attendance of Kano Polatani, it shouldn't be politicized. Officials. Now, is this some sort of politicizations of issues, or I don't know, but well, I have Barrister here and I have Doro here, so let's
I think you can start with Barrister Sam Talks. Is it legal? Because it's generating an uproar. People are saying, well, it's a presidential property, it's a national asset, and so any other person than the person whose name is on the seal should not be seen to be utilizing such a property and things like that. Now, the presidential jet is actually called the presidential jet for a reason. It's supposed to be meant strictly for the president, who is supposed to have come to office through a constitutional process, that is election and things like that. And so if you have his son who is not elected, right, and who is not even part of his father's, well, the president is his father, but we do know that officially he's not part of, the government,
not,
and things like that.
Delegation.
He is not. And so what right has he to want to utilize a property that is supposed to be designated especially for, a certain, the occupant of a certain office and things. And before you turn to, the barrister to give us a legal, perspective to the issue, I recall that Zara Buhari, daughter to immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari, also was involved in a similar, a situation when she decided to use, the presidential jet to, attend a Durbar, in Bauchi State, that was organized in her honor by the then Emir, by the Emir of Bauchi, Ridwan Adamu, and things like that. And I do recall that Femi Falana and some other prominent lawyers were saying, look, the president acted outside the line of integrity by allowing his daughter, to utilize a property that was supposed to be meant for, an elected person serving in a certain capacity and things like that. But then, Barrister Sam Talks is here.
It's not just about the jets, but of course, there are those who are, there are a whole lot of people involved in, taking up a jet from one designation to the other. And so
Yes, like Doro has rightly observed, the truth of the matter, we're just so unserious in this country. There are procedures. Even if you go to advanced clients, you wouldn't see the jet that is meant for the president. It's not about an individual, it's about the office. This individual will one day leave that office. But if something is designated for a particular office, should be used for that particular office, not family, friends, cronies. Then you can just imagine how chaotic advanced climes would have been, where the wife of the, let's say, the king of Arab Emirate or whatever country, taking what is official for private use. I think we need to come to terms legally. That is against the law, because once if the law prescribes a particular way a thing should be done, and it is done contrary to that particular way, it means it's not right. So I think we must be able to have the moral standing as leaders to begin to question our words. On, you see, this is not my property. It's not a personal property. If it will cost the president nothing. If you are a father, of which all of us are parents, if you are to, for instance, there's an official vehicle, you should be able to tell your child this is an official vehicle, and anything outside that official vehicle, it means it's against the law. So you can provide for your child to go for wherever he's going, but not using official means. These are taxpayers' monies. We should be able to begin to have this kind of mentality.
Yes,
then the moral standing, it will help us to begin to curtail unnecessary rancor that Nigerians will raise eyebrows on.
Okay, and still now, why don't we bring it down to see, okay, at the state levels also? You have executive governors who, of course, you would have their very own family members, cruising on some of these, state-owned properties and things like that. And so these two, I want to believe, starting from the fact that it's not right to have it done at the federal level, so also it is at the state. Or do you think there's any difference there?
Actually, there's no difference. If you look at it, the state is even supposed to be, people are supposed to even be more cautious at the state level. Because the truth of the matter is, like, it's a different matter if you're governor of the state and you're traveling and your wife decides to accompany you. There's no point. There's no problem with that. But when your wife picks, probably on taxpayers' money, you charter a whole plane and the monies go back to coffers. Recently I discovered something. I was with an Attorney General of Taraba State, and we got talking, and he said it will shock me to know that there are some government officials who would ordinarily want to stay things that they should have ordinarily paid for, would want the state government to pay for it. So you see, it's a system collapse. He was lamenting, he's a lawyer, so he was looking at it, he said the thing baffles him. So at the state level, there are certain things that are supposed to be exclusively for a particular office. Family and friends should stay out of it, because that will help us to begin to account for the little things that is before us as leaders. But if we don't account for these things, we'll use anybody, whether your friends, your well-wishers, whoever is there, will decide to take advantage, and the way bill comes back, the bill comes back to the state
taxpayers. And just to add to this, Kobe,
yes, in a minute, please.
When I assessed some of the opinions that trailed this issue back then, involving Zara Buhari, some lawyers actually did say that there are provisions of Nigeria's criminal law that actually criminalizes using a property that has the seal of the president or the governor in it. That I'm just trying to respond to your question as to whether it is right to use something that is meant for. Now, this is the issue. If that SUV has, the seal of the governor on it, it actually means that it is so because it is expected to be utilized or used only by the person who actually occupies that office, and nothing more than that. I think it is high time we probably, adopted a certain convention in this country where, the law might not be quite clear or quite categorical on certain issues and things like that. But I think, again, I think we need to know where to draw the boundaries, even if to avoid rancors and, allegations and unnecessary, conflicts here and there. This is the issue. And then I also feel, there are people who feel, our time is up.
Yes.
Well, just to round up, I feel that we need to know where to draw the boundaries. If the property is official, and then you are not actually the official occupying that particular, or for whom the property is meant, I think we should know what to do.
Oh, thank you very much. It's 8:30 and we'll go on a short break. We'll be coming back right after it. Please stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out wealthy dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was saying things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Are you bored and need some company? Get a TV experience like no other on Unity TV. We are turning up the hits with captivating TV shows, electrifying political programs, music, movies, and lots more that will leave you craving. I'm sure you want to know more. Tune in to Unity TV today and let the excitement take over.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Unity 93.3 FM and Unity TV. Butchers Adamoyezi remains my name, the anchor of Unity Trend this lovely Thursday morning, the 12th of October 2023. Of course, gradually we are coming to the end of the first half of the month of October. You know, God has been faithful all the way through. Yes, if you were to be given this month to lead on, I wonder if you would have taken good care of the day. Looking at the economic hardship, probably you would have been so tired not to even remember that you have been saddled with the responsibility of running a whole month. But give it all to God because He has been faithful. Thank you for still being there. And in the studio this morning, it has been Shuaibu Duro. We have taken the first segment together and he's still in the studio. If you don't mind, he would love to say good morning to our listener and of course our viewer.
Thank you, Colby. Good morning, viewer and listener. Thank you for staying tuned patiently.
The beauty of democracy is to have a continuity, yes, in governance. And is that the case with us in Nigeria? Is that the case with us in the Plateau? That's what we'll be looking at this beautiful Thursday morning. And so the topic is continuity in governance, Nigeria in focus. And I'm so happy with the person with whom we'll be doing justice to this topic. He is an advocate of good governance, a community leader, and again, an active legal practitioner based in Nigeria. Left to me, I would say he is an unrepentant advocate of good governance. Barrister Sam Tuggs, a friend of Unity 93.3 FM and TV, is in the studio. You've heard his voice at the recent segment, and then this segment is all his. Just stay tuned, and you would be given the time also to be a part of it after he must have dealt with the topic. Good morning, Barrister, once again.
Good morning, Kobe. Good morning, viewers and listeners.
Barrister, let's just set it rolling. So when we say continuity, what do we really refer to?
Yes, a very good question. Yes, in governance, continuity, it's just simple. Where somebody stopped, another person is expected to continue from where that person, the former person, stopped. So generally, continuity, it's a process where somebody continues from where the predecessor left in terms of projects, in terms of developmental strides. So in brief, I would say continuity in terms of democracy means where it is expected of the person who came in after another person to continue because it is looked at as a public office and public resources are being invested and shouldn't just be abandoned for whatever reasons.
Okay, yes, of course, I remember truly we have had predecessors and successors, and that has been the system, and that is why people would say there is no one person whom has been there all through the years, and there's a certain period of time with which you are expected to serve in such offices. Now, Barrister, help me make a clarity or the dichotomy of what is abandoned project? Because some are called abandoned and some are said to, well, what is abandoned project?
Yes.
So to ask.
I would want to say that abandoned projects are projects that have been initiated by a previous administration, and when the new administration comes on board, decides not to continue with the project, like on issue of continuity. So abandoned projects is where the government in place decides not to give attention at all, or completely forgets about the project that has been legally and passed through processes of bidding and all the processes of of people bidding for the contracts, and also mobilization fees have been given to those contractors to continue. So abandoned projects are all over. When we turn around communities, our local government, you see projects that were started by a previous government not being continued. And I would say there are a lot of reasons where there are abandoned projects. One of the reasons is unarticulated visions.
Unarticulated visions.
Yes. You find out that a project is initiated not because it has direct bearing to the lives of the citizens. And you discover that those kind of projects that are not well articulated, it becomes an abandoned project. Because the next government that comes in place now sees no reason
to carry on
with that project, because it was done just to satisfy a group of people, probably by award of contracts, to compensate a group of people. Let me use that. So that in such circumstances, you find that the projects are abandoned. Then lack of adequate planning. The government does not plan that, okay, this project is supposed to last a spare of a particular number of years. So you discover that it becomes abandoned. And the government that is in place finds it difficult to continue, or lacks the expertise. Probably somebody brought a proposal. Let's assume Doro is the governor of Plateau State. Somebody brings a project. Okay, let's see this project. How does it affect the lives of people? Then I said, okay, maybe in 1 year, the people can benefit from that project. Then what happens after 1 year? The project will definitely be abandoned, because it has no direct bearing to the lives of the citizens. So there are a lot of abandoned projects when we turn around because of lack of proper planning, no vision. The project is just supposed to satisfy a particular need. Like you have temporal issues, probably natural disaster, and probably there are times when you need to take care of certain things at a particular time. But when you make it a project where a lot of resources is being channeled towards that project, it becomes an abandoned project, because the next government does not see the reason, since is no longer a priority to the next government. So there are a lot of factors that bring abandoned projects. And if we turn around, there are certain projects that elephant projects. I want to use the word elephant projects. Projects that are not realistic. Of course, the project will definitely be abandoned. Then another major factor for abandoned projects is resources. You have 10 billion that is supposed to be allocated for construction of a particular road. You mobilize with 2 billion naira. That road is an irrelevant road as far as economic activities that would generate revenue back to the state. You find out that funds now, you have bidded for 10 billion. 2 billion has been given as mobilization. Then at the end of the day, the government does not have the resources to continue with that project. So it becomes an abandoned project. So you see a lot of reasons, a lot of abandoned projects, because people don't consider these factors before even embarking. In fact, one of the major issues is that the people whose that kind of project is supposed to affect are not part of it. I'm talking about the stakeholders now.
Yes.
Probably it's not roads that we need. Probably it's just water that the community needs. The government decides to do the other one, and it will definitely be abandoned, because there won't be resources to sustain it.
Okay, Barrister, now how should the government, who is willing to actually help support to bring about development, how do you advise, to get the right project implemented, instead of just sitting at the comfort of the office?
Yes, very good question. Times without number on this station. Analysts have spoken in clear terms, where the community, even Unity FM does a program every morning looking at the City Watch or
City Report.
City Report.
Yes.
Where communities will come up to say this is our problem. We must have a mechanism. One of the things that is lacking in the democracy and governance in Nigeria generally is that people who this project is supposed to affect directly are never part of it. I like I said some time back, I was privileged to be somewhere outside this country, and I discovered that even the House of Assembly, before a project is cited in a community, the community comes in to know who is handling the project. That's the stakeholders, to know whether that's the project they want. I experienced it firsthand, and it was shocking to me that a politician or an office holder who is in the state assembly does not just sit back and say, I want to sink boreholes all over, or I want to create whatever. The community is the one that decides. So if governance is at the community level, these projects cannot be abandoned. Because if we say we want water and you start drilling the borehole and something happens that the government does not have the resources to continue, the community members might rally round to know where to get funds and partner with the government to see that that project is executed, so that it will have direct bearing to their lives. So there are, in my personal opinion, I feel the major problem is because those people those kind of projects are to affect are never part of it.
Okay, Barrister, still again, you've been a community leader, and of course you still are a community leader.
Yes.
Now, do you think in that capacity are there, abandoned projects on the plateau?
There are a lot of abandoned projects from the community level. From where I come from, I've seen a lot of abandoned projects. In fact, there are times that they will start even secondary schools or primary school buildings. You find out that those ones that should ordinarily be completed in terms of issues of education, they are abandoned because probably there are government schools that are a lot in that community, and instead of concentrating on one
to make it,
because somebody else wants to give contracts out, you discover that a lot of abandoned projects, there are a lot of them, even in road construction. I've seen it that even here within the metropolis, there are times government have created drainages in some communities with the main aim of tarring those routes.
Yes.
You discover that the government decides to abandon them. When the next government comes in, he now decides to say, okay, somebody will advise, these people didn't vote for you, so there's no point.
Are we going back to psychophancy?
That's part of it, actually.
I can give you an example. Just to,
yes, why not, Chairman?
Sometimes ago, when then Governor Jonah Jang actually held sway, he did introduce, rather, I think he did restore the monthly environmental sanitation, and he even created an institution to oversee that and things like that. But when Simon Lalong came on board, he didn't seem to have paid much attention to until now that another PDP government is actually in place.
Maybe it bordered around ideology. I don't know, but is it truly ideology?
It's not ideology, because I feel it shouldn't be ideology. Governance in Nigeria, there are laid down rules and procedures where how things should be done, and because of affiliations, people tend to do whatever they feel like doing without, if there should be a law. For me personally, I think that the National Assembly, the state assemblies should be able to bring up a law where if projects have been approved through due process, those projects should not be abandoned.
It must be completed.
It should be criminalized for any person in government who is part and parcel of such awards should go to prison for abandoning such projects, because taxpayers' monies have been invested.
You see, this is the more reason I said you are an unrepentant advocate of good governance. Yes, because why should we spend money, people's money, to start up a project
only to abandon it
halfway?
Yes.
So that is quite important. How does it affect our economy?
You're raising some interesting points, and I was going to ask if it has anything to do with political rivalry, because I've seen situations where even here on the plateau, of course, we've seen some instances. I've just lately, the new government of Barrister Mutfwang actually has had to suspend some workers who were said to have been legally employed by the previous government and things like. I don't know what reasons the government had to do that. But then again, here is a situation where some people were legally. I don't know if the word legally should be in quote. I don't know if but the affected persons claim to have been legally employed by the previous government, only for this government to decide to actually suspend them for whatever reason. I don't know if you. And then in Kano State, we've also seen an example, right? A new government of Abba Gida Gida actually decided to embark on the demolition of projects actually started and executed by the previous government. I mean, what do you have to say?
Yes, it's a very good dimension you're bringing. You see, if people in government begin to look at the legal procedures of how things should be done, this example you give on the issue of employment, I would want to say that there are procedures laid down for employing whoever into the government's workforce. You discover that those people who were employed, first, they are citizens of Plateau State. They have been employed. If there's any irregularity in terms of the employment procedure, all the government should have done is to, year in, year out, even during Jonah Jan, even during Lalong, there are verifications that go on respect to how staff were being employed. And those who were not correctly employed should be suspended pending the time. But let me tell you another angle. Now, these people have been suspended, and they still remain suspended by the pronouncement of the executive governor of Plateau State. What will happen is that if these people decide to go litigation, or to go and challenge that, then later on it was discovered that they were properly employed. Of course, taxpayers' monies will definitely go. The government will pay back the damages that have been done to those people who have been laid off. So I think people who usually advise government, it will be critical for people to begin to look at the legality of certain actions. Because at the end of the day, how many people have been laid unemployed? Even if those people decide to volunteer to help the government, you can start from somewhere to verify these things. So I feel that certain actions, I look at that as an abandoned project, personally, because
an abandoned employment
project. If somebody has done wrongly, it is only but tried for you to begin to see how to correct it. But I don't think suspension would be the right thing to do at this critical moment, because when we're talking about unemployed, okay, you are saying we're going to employ youths to different workforce in the state. Then you are still laying off the same youths because that have been employed by the previous government. I want to be very sure that there are those who are actually qualified to work that have been properly employed before the government of Barrister Lalong left. If the procedure was wrong, it should have been corrected by way of verification. But suspending them would have been another thing.
Okay, let's talk about the economy.
Yes.
You've been talking about taxpayers' monies, people's money. It has a dimension. It has to do with economies. How does it affect us generally in terms of our economy when projects are being abandoned?
Yes, it affects Nigeria negatively. And even yesterday I heard the governor of Bauchi State, he made a very clear statement. I think on AIT, he clearly stated that all these projects we are doing, it is not our personal money. He made that statement, that those monies are not our personal monies. So if we construct roads, we shouldn't be celebrated. I heard him make that kind of statement.
Commissioner for Information, Plateau State also made sense.
Yes, okay, that's a great one. So it means that these people are beginning to realize that taxpayers' monies can affect the economy negatively if, for instance, a particular amount of money has been budgeted for a particular project, then half of the money has been paid. Then the next government comes in place, sets that aside, begins a new project. I recently heard the governor of Plateau State, Barrister Caleb Mutfwang, 4 days ago, was stating clearly, and I hope he sticks to that, that we intend to continue with the projects that are relevant to the people. You know, that's a profound statement, and we wish him well to do that, because the thing is another political will to execute what he has said. If you initiate a new project where there are a lot of other projects that are still on ground, economically it affects the state. If the previous government has paid 60% of the money that was meant for a particular project, then you start a new project. Of course, we are going to go back to square zero to get resources that we should have just paid the 40% that is left to complete the project. So it affects the state economically, and it also, that's why a lot of times you hear government complaining, we don't have resources to complete this project, or we don't have resources to do this and do that. Because other resources, now the contractors on the other side, economically will decide to begin to take the state government to court in respect of payment of their monies, because there's a valid contract between the state government and those contractors. So I think that abandoned projects will definitely affect any state or any democracy negatively, because if you continue from where you stop, it will help to cushion the effect and also bring about other resources that should be channeled. Look, for example, when Jan constructed roads, I think during his tenure in some parts of Jos,
yes,
there was a refund by the federal government. It was not Jan that was in government directly, but the government is continuum. So it means that during Lalong, when the funds were paid, it was for the benefit of the state. So when we begin to look at the economic value of those roads that were constructed, let's assume Lalong decides not to continue or complete some of the, like we said yesterday, for instance, one of the bridges in Jos, the one at Secretariat Junction, if it was not completed, we'll still go back to square zero
to start it maybe somewhere else,
then pay compensation to those people around the place, another channel to channel the road somewhere else. So I think it will have a negative economic effect on the economy generally of a state or of a country if abandoned projects are not completed.
Barrister, what do you think about contemporary economic realities? And sometimes too, I know relevance sometimes, should I say, is relative, because sometimes what you would prefer at this point, if not given, by the time you leave it for a short period of time, you will discover attention is shifted to wanting to prefer something else other than what you would have preferred if it were yesterday.
Yes.
So how do you...
So you see, this thing you are saying could be, it's a very serious issue in terms of the stakeholders. You look at a long-term project. If I'm doing a project, it should be able to last. If any project that will last 50 years, for instance, it's just an example, and the government embarks on such a project, you know that it's a viable project. You cannot just abandon it easily. It will have a direct effect on the lives of people. But because the stakeholders are not involved in terms of choosing what will affect that they need, not want, because there's a difference between the two. So I feel we need to start from there by getting it done. Not a temporal project that will be abandoned. A project that will last a very long time and will affect lives year in, year out. Whether it's road, whether it's a hospital. Once you build a hospital, it is forever. As far as it is well equipped, and maybe you develop on it subsequently. So I think that the effects will come back on the economy negatively if the first step by ensuring that the right project is cited.
Now, Barrister, sir, there's this thing that's been bothering me, and some of the things you've said have actually, sort of compelled me to ask you this. Yes. I feel you said something about setting priorities.
Yes.
Sometimes you give people, a certain drug, which cannot cure, the sickness they're suffering from. In other words, you cite a project in a place where the project is not actually needed and things like that. Does it have anything to do with, maybe the sort of primordial tendencies that seem to inform certain decisions on the part of, political actors and things like that? Sometimes a governor says, well, I'm from so-so ethnic or religious group and would like to cite so-so project, in my, ethnic or religious domain and things like that. And then a different person, later, who succeeds this person, will want to also, told the same path by way of maybe citing a certain project in a place where he feels that members of his ethnic or religious group will benefit and things like that. Do you think these things actually...
Yes, they exist. You are absolutely right, Doro. I have had a very terrible experience with someone who had the mentality that if every governor comes from every zone, he should just concentrate on his zone, so that all the projects will go to one zone. Then it means other people, let's assume, like you talk about ethnic nationality, and also it is from a religious part, then it means the other citizens who contribute either by payment of their tax, voting and all otherwise will now become irrelevant. They shouldn't expect any democracy dividends or the dividends of democracy in their area before the tenure lapse. So I think it's a very terrible and wrong mentality that once a governor comes in place, he should just concentrate in his place. If he doesn't construct roads, like Darie, for instance, constructed roads to Mushiri, for instance. Now, Lalong constructed roads to Ajikamai. Then now, Mutfal should construct road to his village. I'm just giving an example.
Just an example.
Then how many ethnic nationalities will be able to get these roads?
So what happens to that?
Nobody, if, let's assume their ethnic nationalities are not, do not have the opportunity to be in government.
And of course, there's the minority syndrome.
It becomes, we should be able to shift from this mentality and begin to look at governance as every person who is a citizen of a state is entitled, whether the person votes for you or not, as long as the person is a taxpayer. It means that community should be affected. So I agree with Doro totally that we need to shift from this mentality of the project should be cited in my place because of my affiliations. By the time we do that, then governance becomes democracy that we're talking about. This dividend of democracy that people always talk about will never come to bear.
Okay, but we have just 2 minutes to get done with this segment. But how do you intend to advise that citizens should be involved?
There are various ways citizens can be involved in terms of what I remembered in federal law course years back when Lalong was contesting. He came to the community, was trying to tell the community what he will do if given the opportunity, if given the mandate from that community. And I remember there was an MOU that was signed. The community only needed, the roads were horrible. The community only needed those roads. And that MOU was signed. So communities should begin to look at any politician who comes to give any promises to you should be in writing. And in writing in the sense that once it's in writing, it is documented. So that when you are there and you decide not to do it, the community can decide what to do. Whether not to vote for you again or decide to go another angle differently. I don't want to mention it because it is probably another aspect of it. And I feel that stakeholders too should be part of the process on where projects should be cited.
Do you consider City Report as one?
It is obviously one of the best programs I've heard because you hear first-hand information from those who are affected, not some politicians or not some cronies who speak on behalf of the community because they have access to government.
Maybe it could be maybe some the stakeholders or those in charge of managing the national or state economy should look for you and maybe wire some millions into your account so that you actually grant them access to the tons of information you get on daily basis from communities because it looks funny but could be it's serious. Like Barisa has said, people tell you exactly what
they're going through, what they need.
Like every community comes every morning to say, we have no water here, we need roads here, we need this
power
here.
Supply,
and what else do you need?
City Reports. Thank you very much, Barrister, for making it, confirming the fact that Unity City Reports that comes your way every weekday, Mondays to Fridays at 7:30 a.m. is that which give you the voice to also say what you need as a community. So try to be a part of it. Stay tuned. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, it's going to be your segment. We want to know, is there any abandoned project in your community? Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Please pay attention. nation. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It a kill law, it a kill dreams. It a land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since.
And I'm so happy to still be in the studio of Unity 93.3 FM. This is because I know you are out there listening and, of course, watching. And so, in case you're just tuning on, this is Unity 93.3 FM and TV. This is your own time to make your contributions. You would just call the studio line, tell us your name and where you're calling from, and then in a minute you make your own contributions, and that would have to be without name calling, and you don't profile any individual or group of individuals, and we will not tolerate that. And so we stick to the rules of promoting peaceful coexistence that we will do here. And we've been talking continuity in governance. And so, is there any abandoned project in your community? We would love to know that. And how does it affect us as a people? And so, in the studio, it has been Shabu Doro and Barrister Sam Talks. And so, before you start calling, you can also throw your comments on our Facebook page. You go Unity Radio FM/TV Chats. Drop your comment. I'll read it at the appropriate time. And if you want to send an SMS too, you just do that on 0808 478 9 and 4 places. That is it. And you do that very quickly because so that I'll be able to read it before we get done with the segment. Barrister,
yes,
the way forward. So that we have.
I think the way forward is, for me personally, I think people should begin to start speaking up against government that does probably deliberately refuses to continue a project that was started by a previous government, and also to advocate in whatever capacity, whether it's by using the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and other civilized way of getting the government to give attention to these projects that were abandoned. That's one of the ways that can be done. And also, I would strongly recommend to the State Assembly, because they are the lawmakers, like I said earlier on, to create a law whereby it becomes an offense that projects that government resources have been sunk and government resources have been used to be abandoned, making it compulsory for whoever is coming on board to be able to continue with such projects, regardless of political affiliations, regardless of religious affiliations, neither political affiliations, whatever affiliations that should be, so that every citizen will be part, will enjoy the dividends of democracy, like we keep saying every now and then. Then another aspect that I think the public should be able to know and to also explore. It is. We're not. Nobody wants chaos in a state. But once there are peaceful way of letting government know that you need this to complete this project. I think these are some of the ways that people can use, the stakeholders and citizens can employ to ensure that then to the executive, to the person who is helming the affairs in the state, they should be able to first of all have a moral standing. They should have conscience when it comes to dealing with human beings, because you are there just on trust. And when you begin to look at it that way, it would become like the governor of Plateau State has said that he intends to continue with the projects. 4 days ago, I read a pronouncement that he intends to continue with the projects that have direct bearing to the lives of citizens. I think he should be true to his words and ensure that it's done.
All right, let's begin to hear from our callers this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you. Who is with me this morning?
It's my lecturer from Rico.
Oh, it's good to have you. So, let's hear you.
I'm greeting all of you in the studio, Doro and others.
Barrister, yes. Thank you.
What I want to say is a good development of a college one that we said that we're going to continue with the abandoned project.
Okay. Thank you.
If the other governors are like that, I think we are going to achieve a lot of achievements.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
All right. He's saying thank you because we are Unity FM and TV has given him the opportunity to be a voice. He would always call during Unity City reports to talk about projects. One thing with my Nasara, he will not call attentions to the abandoned project alone, but if the project is given attention, he will call to say, I have seen work going on. So thank you.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you. Who is with us this morning?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Sadiq Kumar. I'm calling from Chichi and Chijong.
Sadiq Kumar, please, you have a minute. Go on.
Yes, I will comment on this very, very well.
All right.
Actually, when we are looking at community in a government, something that is very, very important.
Yes.
Something that is bring development. But you see, state have been left behind because we have seen how development has been. But once with infrastructure development is something that everybody can see, can touch, can testify. So in the past administration, I don't think there is any recommendable infrastructure that's that was done. But when we look at comparison, not compared to previous ones, because administration in terms of infrastructure.
All right. Thank you, Sadiq Kumar.
But in this present administration, we are looking at the changes now.
Sadiq Kumar.
This will a lot of, let's say, restructuring and a lot of reforming in terms of development in Europe. All the agencies will put there in shambles.
Thank you.
You see the offices.
Oh, thank you, Sadiq Kumar. I want to believe you made your point. The line wasn't too clear, but you made your point. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Akwai, and everybody in the studio.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Musa Ike calling you from Angola.
Yes, of course. Musa Ike, it's good to have you. Please go on in a minute.
Thank you. You see, the barrister has said it all. The question is, we as a nation, do we have any plan in terms of the nation that everybody, irrespective of political affiliation, must come and follow? Even in the state, do we have any state plan that irrespective of political affiliation, that everybody must come and follow? If using the state of the nation is really our priority. If we must avoid this issue of vengeance, look at what is happening in Kenya. It's because of vengeance, you overruled everything, and the court said you should go and pay back. Who are you paying back now? You are still tampering with the taxpayers' money. These are the things we are saying. So don't forget what Asef Abalola said. Last week, he said 774 local governments in Nigeria have been pocketed by the government. So if you don't build the system, rather than building an individual, if that is wrong, we are taking it wrong. Allow every part and parcel of the system to work its work. It's not the way the Morita is saying. This House of Assembly in the state, you allow them to do their job. Tell me any of the law that they pass, they come back to me and you in a very jurisdiction.
Thank you.
To interact me and you in our local dialect. These are the laws that should take place.
Thank you very much.
The system should be working. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaldu, for calling and very passionate and making his point very clear there. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, colleagues. Mr. Duran, the guest in the house.
Thank you. Your name?
This is Yakubu Saleh calling from Nepagaria Road.
Thank you, Yakubu Saleh, for calling. You have a minute, please.
Honestly, you brought a very, very important topic. Everybody has blessed.
Amen. Thank you.
And your guest has spoken very well. Everybody has blessed.
Yes, amen.
We need to understand that this government must be supported by the masses. So the masses, we should look at government properties as our own. Instead that we look at government properties and start destroying them, saying that this is government property, we are destroying ourselves, we are killing ourselves. So it's high time that we join hands together, we make sure that we have a very good understanding and synergy. So if government builds a project or anything in our communities, we make sure that we protect that place. And if we see anything, we say something, we say something.
Thank you.
And just like last administration, honestly speaking, here in Bata local government, behind NEPA, we are so happy because the formal the local government chairman, he built 2 blocks classroom standard.
All right. Thank you.
So, and honestly, we are very, very happy with that. So, if government should continue like that, I think it's better for us.
Thank
and those people in authority, could be permitted to say something. Yesterday, something happened when I was coming back from Mr.
All right.
I'm not happy at all. I went to repair my water pump. Can you imagine? Those policemen that are standing between NEPA and Mr. Ali, they saw me with my water pump. They asked the driver to give them 200 naira. The driver was trying to get 50 naira to give. So they said they didn't even trust. I tried to explain myself. I wanted to show them my ID card. They refused. So they brought down the water pump. They took it in their hilos. They put it in their hilos. They wanted to go with it.
Okay.
They would take it to the headquarters. I said, well, if you want to take it to the headquarters, fine. So when I brought down my phone, he discovered that I want to call somebody. So he just called me. He said, okay, please, I should give him something and go.
All right.
I said, see, sir, you wasted my time, honestly. I tried to explain myself. So I said, I'll give you 100 naira, but I have 1,000 naira change. You have change. He said, yes. He went to the vehicle, he threw out 900 naira, he gave me. But what pains me is that when I stopped at NEPA, I discovered that I forgot some items that I bought in the keke. So I had to enter another keke. I went back, I met this one. I said, what you did to me, I will never forgive you over my dead body. Because see what you did to me, I tried to explain myself. I don't look like a criminal. I tried to show my ID card, they refused.
Thank you very much.
So I say I forgot that item because of you. So I will never forget you. I will never forgive you in my life.
Thank you.
It's better for me to tell you now so that I will not go and be telling God.
Thank you very much.
I will tell God, we will meet on the day of judgment.
Thank you very much.
Please, I want to.
Thank you very much. Yakubu Saleh, we beg on behalf of the individual, and we say, please, since you're able to make it clear on this platform, we appreciate, but we say, please learn to forgive. It's very hard, I know, but please learn to forgive. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much. Who's with us this morning? Thank you. Okay, Adewumi, please, a minute, please.
Thank you very much. I'll continue to bless you.
Amen.
On this issue of our political party, they are not united.
Okay.
If there is possibility that our political parties can be united, you will see that there will always be continuity in government. But in the situation whereby you see that someone is having like 7-point agenda, better they even have a single point agenda, prioritize that agenda that it is even being accomplished. It would have been the best for the masses. So you see, our political parties do not have synergy. And we are seeing it from Abuja. We are saying we are not united. Even our political parties are not united.
All right.
So the particular person is saying that they are doing the right thing. So you will condemn it in order not to do the needful.
All right.
So my major thing now is just to talk on the terminus market this morning again.
Yeah.
We want to see continuity in that market.
Okay.
The two governments have gone, and this market is very important to every platoon. So I think God will help us in this nation. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much. This one from our Facebook page is from Aminu Abdullahi Shuaibu saying, good morning, our gentlemen in the studio, Kubi and Shuaibu Doro. I'm watching you live from Rikers. Actually, EFCC are doing a great job, but sometimes I wonder why they show discrimination against some of the politicians, because sometimes there are some allegations in some politics, but EFCC will not approve or change of them. That's the problem we are facing in the country. Aminu, thank you. And this one from Asobagum Francis is saying there is no continuity in governance, and Nigeria, especially Plateau State, we always create new ones for personal gains and not for the people or on complete uncomplicated projects by various governments down the leader. Even the last government here tried it, but at the end, what happens to him? Insults. Abandoned project is our second name. Abubakar Yunus saying, well done, cool B, Doro and the barrister. Keep it up. Thank you, Abubakar. And this one is coming from Ismail Isa saying, good morning, Unity crew and your guest. Really, we are appreciating your unbiased, educative and analysis. Sincerely, Nigeria is save heavens to some few individual people because it's so easy to commit an offense but difficult to be convicted even in the competent court of jurisdiction. Perhaps most of the top national projects are named after our previous good leaders that served Nigeria with all their strength and love. But now, even with the existence of EFCC, we have every lowest good governance. Thank you. This one is coming from Salihu Suleiman Matawale. Yes, say good morning, Unity. Yes, thank you. Our Peaceman Adam is saying government is all about continuity and abandoned government projects are still government properties. Please, we need serious developmental projects by the government. That is the only dividends the electorate need. Remember, the office of the citizen is first and number one priority. Our Peaceman. Thank you, Rabi Usman's good morning, Uncle B, Mr. Doro, and the guest in the house. The barrister has spoken very well, and I hope he will be the next governor in Plateau State. By God's grace, keep it up. Rabi Usman, yes. Thank you. And Usman Yahya saying, good morning, Unity crew, and the guest. Kudos for educative analysis. Still on our Facebook page, this one is from Usman S. Adam is saying, good morning, Unity crew. Thank you for the wonderful programs. Keep it up. As you are discussing on abandoned projects, I want to remind the governor of the state about the Tudun OC Road project. Please, we need the road to be completed as soon as possible. Usman S. Adam from Zamzam Street, Ricos. Thank you very much. Let's continue receiving more calls. If you want to be a part, it's 0703235315. In a minute. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Kulbi, Doro, and the guests in the house. My name is Chief Ambassador Usman Big Seven. I'm calling from ZINARIYA.
Go on, please, I need it.
Really, today's topic is a nice one.
Thank you.
There is a continuation in good governance.
Yes.
Actually, government is all about continuation from where the former one stopped and the present one should continue, irrespective of party or religion. But due to egocentric and religious Bible, in some part of our country, some of our governors find it very difficult to continue from where the past government stopped, despite how good, important that project is.
Yes.
Masses will suffer because they will refuse to continue from where the former government stopped. This is the reason why I always love and appreciate former Senator, distinguished Senator Aidigan, for building 3 classes here in our community ZINARIYA. Okay. Please, Barrister, you have already said it this morning. Government is all about continuity, irrespective of party or religion. God bless you people. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Big Seven. From SMS, this one is saying there is nothing permanent in the life, not even life itself. Be in this world as though you were a stranger or a wayfarer. At evenings, do not expect to live till morning. And at the morning, do not expect to live till evening. Take from your health for your illness and from your life for our death. Be kind, Hassan Garba. Thank you very much, Hassan Garba. And still, this one says, good morning, Kubi, Mr. Doro and the barrister. Kudos to the barrister. He has spoken so well. I want to talk about an abandoned project along the Jew Flamingo Road. I don't know what really is, but some people say it's a 5-star hotel, and this project has been abandoned for so many years. I think that if it's really a 5-star hotel, then they should continue, because it's what will bring revenue to the state. Peace is priceless. Let's live in peace. God bless Unity FM. God bless Nigeria. Christy Izan from Rukubarot. Okay. Still, Christy Izan from Rukubarot is saying, good morning, Kubi, Professor Bameyo. That of yesterday, and the barrister, kudos the prof and the barrister for always giving us educative, wonderful and objective analysis. Honestly, the woman has relegated to the background as we celebrate the girl child's day. I think that the parents should try to educate their girl child at all cost, treat their children, both boys and girls, equally. They should also reach the goal to be proud of their gender and tell them about women who went places and made a difference in their lives and the lives of others. Peace is priceless. Let's live in peace. God bless Unity FM. God bless our Nigeria. Christy Zhang still. And thank you very much. I think that is the much we can take on today's, and we'll just let Barrister to continue. But I have this last one to say. This one is saying, good morning, Unity FMs. I really appreciate your program. May God bless you all, from Yusuf Malgui Gadabu. Oh, thank you very much. Barrister, very quickly. We have just but few moments to go.
I would want to state that the government in place, especially on the plateau.
Yes.
You know, when somebody has done something that is not right, there are procedures of correcting it.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't need to overflow issues based on sentiments. A good leader will be someone who would look at things objectively, regardless of whatever affiliations. From the callers, you will understand that everybody is yearning for good governance. Everybody wants to see things done properly. So I would sincerely state that it's an opportunity. Leaders that wrote their names, people like Mahatma Gandhi and a lot of leaders, Martin Luther King Jr., all of these people that wrote their names in gold, is not because they are superhuman beings, but they look at the masses as the priority. So let those who are in government begin to look at the masses as a top priority and begin to do the needful in terms of projects that have been abandoned, that have direct bearing to the lives of people. And before you realize it, people will write their names in gold without them knowing it. But if we choose the path of political affiliations and sentiments to get projects done, then at the end of the day we'll still be backward than where we were before. So I would strongly advise that the needful should be done.
Oh, thank you very much. The needful should be done. Any final words?
Yeah, it's exactly what Barrister has said. You know, government is a continuum, and at the end of the day, I think the well-being of the common man should actually be the watchword. God bless Plateau State.
Oh, thank you very much, Doro. Actually, it's always a pleasure to have
always
you
a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Barrister.
It's a pleasure.
Truly, we have nothing to say but just to say thank you.
Thank God for everything.
For always coming in the studio.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank
Barrister, you're one of those who always answer our calls when there is any need. When people call us personally, we call on people like you, and you've always been responding. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, at this point, our viewer and our listener, I want to say thank you to everyone who made it possible. Those in the control room, I have Shamsuddin and Alamin, all of Kabir, and I have our GSM, the control room. And again, the executive producer of this very program remains Alhaji Tijani Nakande, and the coordinating producer, Rabiu Abdullahi and Nazifi Abdullahi. Shaibu Doro remains the producer of this very program. And thank you so much from me, Bitrus Adamuiji, the anchor. Stay tuned for other programs on Unity 93.3.
Peace-loving anchor.
Peace-loving anchor. Of course, thank you very much.
Yes.
We do this together. Bye.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?